The world moves on as well when it comes to the world of politics, and 2024 is literally right around the corner. The first campaign rally for President Donald Trump began last night in Waco, Texas. Thousands turned out, as we heard in reports earlier today, that showed a still existent large swell of support for the former president. As part of his speech last night, he addressed many different issues facing the United States of America. He also addressed what he considers to be one of the greatest existential threats to this country, that is the deep state. He laid out the case that his potential indictment in New York is a great example of the threat to this country. Watch.
The Biden regime's weaponization of law enforcement against their political opponent is something straight out of the Stalinist Russian horror show. You go back to communist China or look at a third world banana republic. That's what we've become. Between our borders, our elections, and the weaponization of law enforcement, we are a nation where fentanyl and all other forms of illegal drugs are easier to get than formula for our beautiful little babies. A nation where once revered airports are dirty, they're a crowded mess. You sit and wait for hours and then are notified that the plane won't leave, and they have no idea when it will. Where ticket prices have tripled, they don't have the pilots to fly the planes, they don't seek qualified air traffic controllers, and they just don't know what the hell they are doing. We are a nation that has lost its confidence, its willpower, and its strength. We are a nation that has lost its way, but we are not going to allow this horror to continue.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very interesting speech for sure. Definitely anyone, just breathing can see the degradation of this country in the last 2 years. That's certainly something. I mentioned this earlier. I'll mention it again. When I spoke to people in Venezuela on my podcast, I asked them, these are dissidents, when did you know that, things were really, hitting the fan in your country? And they said when the legal system was weaponized against the opposition, when we knew that happened. And certainly that's how a lot of people feel. And it's not just Republicans, because take a look here. This is former governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo, saying that there's nothing here in this these charges. Listen.
Yeah, he said,
it's a quote. He said, I don't understand why Bragg is putting such emphasis on this case. I think it's all politics, and I think that's what I think the people of the country are saying. And it just feeds that anger, that cynicism, and that partisanship. It's a coincidence that Bragg goes after Trump, and Tish James goes after Trump, and Georgia goes after Trump. That's all a coincidence. I think it feeds the cynicism, and that's the cancer in our body politic right now.
On this note, so I think the New York Times put out a search for legal experts who could say that this case in New York had some legal validity, and they had trouble finding one, right? Yeah. Here you have the former Democratic governor of New York going, this is a political witch hunt. Everyone you've talked to has said, look, this is at best a misdemeanor, talking about how he booked these potential payments. And if it's a misdemeanor, by the way, it's well past the statute of limitations, which would have expired in 2018. It just all adds up to the obvious conclusion, it's a political witch hunt.
It all adds up to get Trump, which is what Alvin Bragg said he was going to do. It's what he ran on. And so when Donald Trump takes that stage and talks about a nation in decline, he's saying what we all feel. From a perspective of someone who saw it from the inside and was targeted through weaponized prosecution in investigations before he was president, while he was president, after he was president, and even still today. So when Alvin Bragg tries to get Trump, he only makes Trump in 2024 more likely. The crowds only get bigger. The appetite for him fighting back stronger becomes more real. And as we've talked about, I mean, DeSantis is the closest to him right now. He's not announced yet, but even he has had trouble trying to figure out how to deal with how Trump's going to engage with him, because there's such a reservoir of goodwill amongst the base of the Republican Party for Donald Trump's willingness to fight. It's going to be tough to dislodge that.
I thought Bill Maher put it really well. We're talking about just the logistics of a Republican primary. Bill Maher said regarding DeSantis Trump, he goes, nobody goes to see a tribute band when the real band's still playing.
Yeah.
And
it's a great
that
line.
crowd shows the real band's still playing.
Can I just say something else? I don't think that the support, I mean, look, obviously the people at that rally love Donald Trump, and it's true. But even Donald Trump says they're not coming for, they're not just coming for me. I'm a conduit. They're actually coming for you. And I think support.
I'm just standing in the way.
I'm just standing in the way. But a lot of Americans look at the double standard of the way the January 6th and the 2020, rioters who killed more and create, had billions of dollars of destruction. They look at the way the law is not applied equally to Trump, to his team, and the other side. And I think that they're just going, this could happen to me. And I think that's part of what's driving this as well.